This is an achievable goal. This is about our accountability, not Mike Collins. Our next candidate is Lexy Doherty. And as she makes her way to the mic, I want to impress upon you that become the invisible member of these candidates' campaigns. Help them win those seats. That's how we protect our community. That's how we protect our kids.
As I walked up here, I noticed behind the stage a big "No Weapons Allowed" sign. And it seems obvious to all of us why. Because they put us at risk, right? The weapons are not allowed in our courthouses. They're not allowed in the legislature. If you go to Georgia, over in Atlanta, they're not allowed so many places already. And yet they're allowed openly everywhere else that we are. And we are the ones that take the risk for that. Because anywhere where there are, like the state legislature, they don't want guns in there with them while they're doing their jobs. Just like teachers don't want guns in their schools when they're doing theirs. So I just noticed that and I thought it was just so telling. I think we see that all the time. But I just wanted to share with y'all that one of my childhood best friends was a victim of gun violence. She was in an argument with a friend and he pulled out a firearm and shot her in the head. And she died instantly. And I reflect on this often, especially now. If he had not had a firearm, that fight would never have escalated, right? Even if he had hit her, which would be unacceptable, she would still be here with us. And because of easy access to firearms, she's no longer with us. That was a life lost. She was, I think, 21 or 22 at the time. And this is a story that we have all heard so many times. It's easy access to firearms causes injury and death. It's not revolutionary. It's something that we are told over and over and over again. And it should be a surprise to no one that the most deadly weapons cause more deaths. I'm just flabbergasted that there's people that don't accept that. And every time we hear of another mass shooting or another school shooting, we hear the same thing, that we can't do anything about this, that it's worth the risk so that we have access to firearms. And I just don't accept that. And I'm glad that you all don't accept that, because it should be unacceptable. It should be widely accepted that we will not tolerate the lives of our children and the lives of our community members just to access firearms. And, you know, probably like many of you, I'm from the South. I come from a family of gun owners. And, you know, I don't want to be in the business of taking away people's guns. And when I have spoken to many others from Moms Demand Action or other gun safety advocates, many of them tell me that they are also gun owners. And what we all agree on is that there should be restrictions, that it should not be easy access, that any Joe off the street should be able to meet someone in a parking lot and buy a firearm. To me, that is just egregiously wrong. So when I think about gun safety reform, it's not taking away all the guns off the street. I don't think we're ever going to have that in America. But it's things like universal background checks, where every single person that goes to buy a firearm should have to get a background check. This is not revolutionary. To me, it's the most simple thing. But there are people like Mike Collins who are openly fighting expanded background checks. He co-sponsored Andrew Clyde's bill to block Biden expanding background checks, just closing the gun show loophole. And when I think about the reasons for that, the only thing that I come back to is money. That there's no good reason that people should not pass a background check when we have laws for who can and can't own firearms, right? We are only asking for those laws to be held up. It's not revolutionary. And I want things like red flag laws that can actually have a little bit of teeth and make a difference. Because we have a perfect example is the shooter at the Appalachia school shooting. He, I'm sure most of you know, was investigated by the FBI for making threats. The fact that that young man, 14 years old, was investigated by the FBI and he was still able to get his hands on a deadly weapon is unacceptable. How is that possible in this country? How is that possible anywhere? And safe storage, another thing that could have stopped this. If that firearm had been safe in storage, where he could only access it with supervision, we would have 4 more lives in this community. It's, again, these things are, we are not out taking people's guns away. It's not what most people want. We are asking for just the most reasonable safety reforms. And Dr. Michelle Au tried to pass a safe storage law in the legislature this year. It just got 1 hearing, didn't even make it to a vote. And one of the statistics she shared was that something around 20% of injury and death can be reduced just by safe storage. That to me is that's amazing. You know, from a statistics perspective, if any of y'all are statistics nerds like I am, that's huge. For any one thing to have a 20% reduction in injury and death, that is incredible. And this isn't even taking guns away from anyone. This is just basic safe storage where you know that children or people that would come take the guns from you could not get access to them. So we are only asking for very reasonable gun safety reform. And I know for me, it's easy to focus on things like school shootings, like mass shootings. And I think that these are, again, don't happen anywhere else in the world. So we need to focus on it. But there's suicides, homicides, just accidental injury from people using their own firearms. We need to take on these issues as well. Because when a firearm is used in a suicide attempt, it's something like 80% successful. And most people that attempt suicide and, aren't successful don't end up accomplishing it in the end. So if we take these super simple steps to make sure that we keep guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, out of the hands of children, out of the hands of those who would harm themselves or others, we will save so many lives in this country. And I always come back to the statistic that firearms are the #1 cause of injury and death for children in this country, children and teens. So to me, the fact that there are people like our representative, Mike Collins, who could hear that and not be roused to just change everything, to allow that to be the reality that we live in and stand by that decision and be okay with it and go to sleep at night, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how anyone does it. And I'm so thankful to have all of you here with me trying to right these wrongs, because it does not have to be this way. We have seen, like Eric said, in other countries, this does not happen. And it does not have to be this way. And we know how to change it, right? We elect better representatives who will represent our interests and save the lives of members of our community. And like Eric said, you've got 1 day to check your registration, so make sure you do that. Even if you've checked already, go check it again just to make me feel better, if nothing else. And early voting is going to start October 15th, and then Election Day, you have until November 5th to cast your final vote. Oof, I can't talk. Y'all, there's nothing more important than the health, the lives of our children and the members of our community. And we have an opportunity to do something about it. And this, Miss Obama, love her, she's told us to do something. And this is something that we have an opportunity, we have the power to change this. And so if you are upset, if you feel that this is unacceptable like I do, you have the power to change it. I try to tell everybody, there is no one coming to save us. It is us. We are the ones that are responsible for protecting our community. We are the ones that have the power to do that. And we are the ones that are going to change this country on November 5th. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Woo!